Hello, it's Louie Simmons at Westside Barbell, and this is our first tape of the new millennium. This tape will be on the reactive method and the contrast method. By using these methods, you need three devices: chains, bands, or weight releasers. So first we're going to get into the chains, and we're going to show how change actually partially eliminates the deceleration phase of a barbell. It also accommodates resistance. Naturally, you can't lift as much in the bottom of the squat as you can the top. So when you're doing speed work, if you're approximately training for power at around 50 to 60%, but when you stand up, the weight is so light that you're missing part of the lift. Not only are you missing part of the strength curve, but you're also cutting down on muscle tension. You actually will decelerate. And but by using the change, you actually have to accelerate all the way through the movement. So first of all, we're going to bring Amy Weisberger in. Amy Weisberger, at 123 pounds, has officially squatted 450 pounds, deadlifted 450 pounds, and holds the world record at 292 pounds in a bench. She is 34 pounds of a male elite. She is the greatest pound for pound female lifter of all time on the formula. 8-time world champions, and I know a lot of you people have many female athletes in colleges. So we're going to have Amy demonstrate. First, we're going to demonstrate how to put on the chains and then how to use the chains. We will get into bands later, but we're going to take one segment at a time. In the beginning, we're going to talk about chains for the acceleration work on the dynamic day. All right, let's bring Amy in. First of all, let me demonstrate how to put chains on correctly. Chains is a simple method here of accommodating resistance. First, you need a small, approximately 1/4 inch chain with a hook. This will regulate the height for the athlete as the bar sits on the shoulder. You'll notice that we use a heavy-duty ring and we loop the chain through. In squatting, we have a few links touching the ground in the beginning. For when your athletes walk the bar out, the chain will drag across the floor and keeping a little bit more stabilization for the athlete. Much safer. Now, you'll notice when Amy comes into squat, when she descends into the squat, the chain is deloaded onto the ground, proportionate to her strength. Then as she arises out of the squat, the chain comes back on the bar. So when training at 60%, she'll use approximately 50 to 60% in a 3-week pendulum wave fashion. In the bottom, but as she stands up, it'll also accommodate a weight approximately 60% of what she can actually squat at the top. And that way, we are eliminating partially the deceleration phase of the barbell. Now we're going to bring Amy in and let her demonstrate what this looks like. Watch Amy. Amy's going to box squat. It's the best way to squat of all. We have the greatest squatters in the world, bar none. And so you'll watch as the bar, again, watch the bar, the chains will decelerate onto the ground, and again, as she comes up, they will accommodate her resistance by reloading themselves up as she stands up. Do 3 or 4 reps, don't go for 1. Okay. Hold on now, Dave's ready. All right. Very effective for acceleration and, for instance, for vertical jumping. Now we're going to move Amy into the deadlift. Now, as you'll notice, if you look, when we get there, the chains are put on completely different. So let's go on and let's watch Amy do a couple deadlifts. All right, folks, now here we are. We're going to demonstrate the deadlift. You'll notice by looking at the bar, the chains are just drooped over the bar. The range of motion is such that this is the way that change has to be when you do deadlifting if you're going to use the chain. Again, this will accommodate resistance. Now Amy's going to come in and do a couple reps of deadlift. Pay attention to the chains as they deload and load. Now by watching how this works, you'll notice this is the contrast contrast method, the weight is contrastingly different at the top than is the bottom, thus the name, the contrast method. This method was brought about in the old Soviet Union by the greatest coaches over there. And collectively, they came up with ideas like this by using bands and chains, which we'll get into bands later, but right now we're going to stay on one thing, the chains. All right, now we're going to move into the bench press, and we'll show you how the bench press is loaded. Folks, you'll notice the changes are different in benching. You know, the stroke is about half of a squat, so we lower the chain by using this 1/4 inch chain, and when the barbell is lowered down, basically all the weight is off the bar. So when you're training for power at the 50 to 60%, when the barbell's at your chest, the original bar weight stays the same. And as you lock it out, these chains weigh 20 pounds apiece. So we have 80 pounds of chain total, but only half comes off, so you're locking out 40 extra pounds. This, again, will accommodate resistance. To give you an example, we have two 700-pound benchers here. Their top weights they train with, they'll do 3 triples with 275, 3 with 295, and 3 with 315, locking out an additional 40 pounds of chain, and that equals a 700-plus pound bench. That is force. All right, folks, now Amy's going to demonstrate. She'll do a couple reps, and you'll get the idea. Again, watch the chain. What you have to do is you have to try, it will pick up your speed on the concentric phase and try to outrun the chain. Pretty simple, folks. This is nothing new. They were doing chains in the early 1900s. So it's nothing new, but you have to use it. Why people don't use these methods is totally beyond me. All right, folks, for maximal effort work, we use a lot of chain. If you notice here, we have 5 sets of chain. This is 200 pounds of chain at the top. I'll give you an example. George Halbert floor pressed 440 pounds and 5 sets of chain, and he bench pressed 650 pounds at 198. Yes, that is the world record. It's a phenomenal bench. George is very, very explosive, but he also accommodates resistance on max effort day. Remember, folks, strength is measured in time, not actually weights. But when George does heavy weight like this, it will take longer than his actual bench. That constitutes him being able to struggle with a heavy weight at the same rate as he would in a contest. Now this is set up for the floor press, as you can see. But also we do regular benching for max effort work. Then we would put the chain on like demonstrated before with Amy. And what we do, we work up to one weight, for instance 300 pounds, with 2 sets of chain for a single. Then you add a chain and add a chain and add a chain until you miss for singles. So that's how you do it with the regular benching. Now you can use chains on any lift you want. We use them for good mornings, squatting, benching, tricep extensions, actually even leg raises. So you can use chains all the time. Basically a simple formula. If you're approximately a 300-pound bench presser, you would use 1 set of chain for the benching. Maybe if you're a 450-pounder, that's where you start to use 2 sets of chain. If you're way up in the 600 range, this is about a bencher, then 3 sets of chain was what you would use. We wave the chain in and out. Always before a contest or before your athletic event, the last couple of weeks should be chains. We go in with bands and chains, bands and chains. We wave it every 2 or 3 weeks. But again, always end up with chains. The reason being, you have the bands create a tremendous amount of kinetic energy on the eccentric phase. Makes you very, very sore. So the bands will have to be waved out right before the contest and chains brought in, so you'll be able to deload your body somewhat and go into a contest fresh. All right, if you want to buy the chains, the best place to buy them is Topper Supply. The number would be 614-444-1187. These chains are 5 foot long, they're 5/8 length. The small chain is approximately 6.5 foot long, 1/4 inch length with a metal ring. You have to call and ask for prices. We don't get anything out of this. I'm just telling people where to get it because it's very, very valuable. All right, folks, I think that pretty much covers the chains. So now we're going to move in how to use the bands. All right, now we're going to move into bands. The difference between bands and chains are On the eccentric phase or the lowering phase, the bands actually will blast you down faster than gravity. The faster something falls, the greater kinetic energy. The greater kinetic energy is transferred into the body as reversal strength or stretch reflex into the muscle and the soft and connected tissues. This band right here constitutes about 100 pounds at the top. Now we use these bands for dynamic method day, where we use a light amount of band and a moderate amount of weight, 50 to 60% of what we squat. We do a strength phase where we build strength speed, where we use an enormous amount of band. For me, and I'm very short, 5'6", standing up with an empty bar at the top, the bar would weigh 690 pounds alone, to give you an idea what kind of weights. Then we run into a circummax, meaning near maximal phase, for the final phase of a contest. That phase, for instance, the people here that squat 900 to 975 basically will use 375 at the top to 440, and the bottom is about 260 pounds to 300. So you see, it's a contrast method. The weight is contrastingly greatly different in the bottom than it is the top. Force is developed in approximately 3 to 4/10 of a second, as science studies have shown. But with bands, I'm a firm believer that you can lengthen that power time to where if you had two linemen, one not using bands and one using bands, as the two would collide into a man of equal strength. The one would be pushed on his heels with the one using the bands, because now the man using the bands has eliminated the deceleration phase because of the bands accommodating resistance at the top of the lift, causing one to push the other lineman on his heels, and that's what this is all about. All right, now Amy's going to come in here. She's going to do 3 reps just to show you how this works. Do not lower the band slowly. You want to get down quickly. If you were to take a basketball and drop it, it will bounce so high. If you throw it down, it bounces higher. That's kinetic energy, my friends. The body works exactly like that. Just for instance, if you do ultra high reps, which is pretty much a waste of time with the classical lifts. If you take a ball and you throw it in the air, it will bounce so high. The second bounce, slightly lower, the third, and so forth, until the ball finally has no energy left and is lying on the ground. Your body works the same way. If you want to be an explosive athlete, as soon as that barbell starts to slow down one bit, you're wasting your time. The bar must be replaced. That's why when we squat, we use 2 reps. That represents slightly longer than it takes to do a maximal squat. In the bench press, we would train with 3 reps. This is on a dynamic of the day. Because 3 reps we can do under 3 seconds, and we've had our world records timed at benching world record weights. Time they take the bar and start to lower until they get the pressing and lock it back out, it took 3 1/4 seconds. So on max effort day, we work exercises that approximately takes at least 3 1/4 seconds. If you operate with exercises that would only take 2 3/4 seconds and you get to a max weight, in 2 3/4 seconds, my friend, you will run out of strength and the barbell will fail. If it takes you 3 1/4 seconds to do a maximal lift, you must do special exercises to take that long. That's why strength actually is measured in time and it's not measured in weight. All right, let's bring Amy down and do 3 reps to get an idea what this looks like. Now, Amy, for instance, squatted 450 pounds, and she uses this band tension of about 200 pounds at the top, and additional to the weights. And her weights would be about 185 to 215. And in the bottom, it would be maybe 100 pounds. Because the faster she is forced to lower her body, that causes a greater stretch reflex and stands up. These bands also build a tremendous amount of stability. Without a bar, bands on the bar, the actual weights feel like a toy. All right, let's move on to the bench press and we'll show you how it works. Now we're going to show the bench. Now you notice how we put the band. The band is looped around the bottom of this power rack, approximately 1 inch off the floor. This band will roughly be 45 pounds in the bottom and 110 pounds at the top. So again, it's going to accommodate resistance. There's one special point here, folks. you must have tension at the bottom of all lifts. That's the squat, bench, and deadlift. If not, starting strength is the greatest strength. Because the starting strength is so strong, momentum will carry the bar up through a band. But you could eliminate partially amount of that by hooking the bands in a way such as this, where you have tension throughout all the major part of the lift. When you use bands, for instance, a 600-pound bencher will train with 245 pounds and 2 sets of chain. If he were to use these bands, the weight is actually reduced down to about 225 pounds. Just to give you an idea, bands are much harsher on you than chain. And remember, you rotate bands 3 or 4 weeks, then you go to chain. If you're a competitive lifter or an athlete that has major contests, then always run into the contest using chain. But the bands, again, create a tremendous amount of kinetic energy. We actually do a lot of ballistic lifting here, where we drop the bar very quickly and catch it 1 to 3 inches off the chest and return it. And this makes you very, very strong, and for athletics, I believe this is the way it should be done. No, it is not dangerous. After all, sports in itself is much more dangerous. Many more injuries in football than ever in a weight room. So let's forget that out of your head and get these athletes strong. You know, in the last couple decades, sports figures are so weak, it's pathetic. You can't take an average football player and make the top 100 in the powerlifting charts. That's pathetic. When you have people in a World's or Gold's gym that are stronger than some of your heroes that play football, there must be something done. Most of the strongest people on a team are running backs. This makes no sense that a 200-pound man is stronger than a 330-pound man, does it? All right, Amy's going to come in and do a triple here, and watch the bands and you see how this works. All right, now that you've seen this in action, remember, bands for a few weeks, chains for a few weeks. You can also, folks, use 2 chains and then choke this band, where this band would only work the last 6 inches. I believe this is very effective, and it's one of my favorite ways to train. All right, folks, now we're going to show the deadlift. You notice here we use a spatial platform. This platform is used and sold by Jumpstretch Incorporated. The bands then are looped over where we have tension immediately as the barbell will leave the floor. There's many ways how to do this. For deadlifting or for heavy pulls in the first phase of Olympic lifts, this is how it would be done. We're going to have Amy come in here and just do a couple singles, and so you can watch how it works. This accommodation resistance is very good. We have people doing this all over the entire world. For instance, over in Finland, where they have many great deadlifters, 148 friend of ours who's visited Westside and stayed here for a few months, had best deadlift was 578 pounds at 148. He actually pulled a 606 deadlift after using this. His friend, who is quite the squatter, 722 pounds in the 165-pound class, had never deadlifted 600 pounds yet, pulled 633 after a phase of this. This stuff works, even for advanced world champions. This works. Now I'm just going to come in and maybe do 2 pause reps for you so you can watch how it works. You notice how Amy's second rep, once her body adapted to the stress on the barbell, her second rep was much faster because she knew instantly to accommodate the resistance by those bands. So here, when you do deadlifting, you always want to do just singles. There's no reason to do high repetitions like 3s to 5. If you're going to build muscle mass, then ultra high reps will work for the exercise. But as far as deadlifting, there's no eccentric phase to a deadlift. So it doesn't make any sense to do high reps. All it does is wear you down. And you normally will just get stuck at one position and you'll stay there. Well, folks, you've noticed how we've done the bands in all 3 lifts. I want to talk about how to use the bands. In the benching, on a dynamic day, you only use the mini band. Do not use the heavier band. It will cause injury. Too much kinetic energy. For squatting, I mentioned before about the 3 phases. You must develop strength, speed, where you're going to move a barbell, heavy, very heavy weights. They will move slowly because of the nature of the resistance. All right, when training for strength speed, actually the bands are heavier than the weight. In other words, it would be over 50% band and slightly less than 50% barbell weight. For speed work, or on a dynamic day, if you're working for speed and explosive power, then the band would constitute about 15 to 20% of the weight on the barbell. In the circumax phase, where the weights are near maximal, then we use bands that are approximately about 40% on the bar, and then the weights will constitute 60%. Now you can use these bands for numerous exercises, such as good mornings, all type of abductor work, for abdominal work, and many things. It's very good for therapeutic. Later on in this tape, we're going to show a flexibility phase. I'm not that great a flexibility person, but I'm going to bring someone who is actually invented these bands, and his name is Dick Hartzell. You can reach him at 1-800-344-3539. The name of his company is Jumpstretch Incorporated. All right, now let's move on to the next phase. Now we're going to demonstrate it, not seen much in the United States. This method was developed in all of Europe, basically by the old great Soviet coaches. This is called the Lightened method. By this, the weights are much lighter in the bottom than they are at the top. Much different than any type of training you've ever seen. Amy Weisberg is going to come in and demonstrate some lifts, some bench pressing, squatting, power clean, and for instance, just to give you an idea what it looks like. When using a blue band such as we have here on a 7-foot tall rack for benching, it's basically lightened 150 pounds in the bottom. Amy's going to press up 365. So you see she's able to handle extremely heavy weights at the top, which she would not be able to do any other way because it's lightened in the bottom. This accommodates her strength curves. All right, if you use a pink band, it's 60 pounds light in the bottom. So actually it'd be around 305 pounds a month if we had a pink band in here. Or if we had a green band, it'd be about 95 pounds. Just to give you an idea, you want to get established records of all these different bands, only one band per workout. This is used on maximal effort day, and for the top or greater athletes, this is a conjugate training method. Each week we switch. We handle very heavy weights, maxing out on all these different exercises. Again, as long as it takes, you want to use a weight that takes as long or longer than it takes you to do your maximal lift. This is tremendous for vertical jumping, and as well as acceleration. Now Amy's going to come in now. Remember, Amy has benched 310 pounds officially in the contest. So she's going to come in and demonstrate just a one single rep of 365. You get an idea. You'll notice Amy's technique is exactly that of a regular bench press. So it works very well. Again, you notice it is actually a true 365 pounds at the top, which you would no way possible be able to do. And in the bottom, it's reduced 150 pounds. So she had about 210 in the bottom. Again, you can see if she would not accelerate against that barbell as that weight is coming on it, she would fail. This teaches acceleration. All right, now we're going to demonstrate the squat. Amy's going to use approximately just 225 pounds. For your high jumpers or your volleyball players or people of that nature, this is tremendous for vertical jumping. It also helps us with heavy weights. We work up to extremely heavy weights in this method sometimes, and but right now Amy's going to use 225 pounds. This is, I believe, a more weight for the development of force and explosive strength. So she's going to come in and demonstrate. She'll probably do about 3 reps. And then pay close attention how the bar is deloaded in the bottom, and then it is reloaded at the top. Amy? pretty simple, but very effective. This doesn't look like much for lightweight, but as you start to add weight, it comes to a point, however strong you are, that you realize very, very quickly you must have tremendous acceleration to get through your sticking points or your mini-max. All right, now we're just going to drop down and show a power clean. We won't show deadlifts. The deadlifts can be done the same way. I know lots of ball teams do power cleans, so we're going to do a power clean for you. We seldom ever do them here. We don't see much need. But we're going to go ahead and do a power clean. Folks, I hope you get the idea how this works. See, it's lightened in the bottom, but for that crucial explosive phase, this is tremendous for building the second pull in the Olympic lifts. This can be done for many things. Push jerk, high pulls, even upright rows, whatever you want to use. And remember, it's called the Lightened method. You may have seen treadmills this way where the athlete's body weight is somewhat suspended off the treadmill, constituting also a Lightened method. All right, let's move on to the next segment of the special training. Now we're going to cover some abdominal work. I have here with me Danny Blankenship. Danny was a USPF standard elite as a teenager. He also now has 2 elite ratings and has already squatted 725 pounds, bench 460, and pulled a 650 deadlift. So what we're going to do, we're going to work into the abs. The abs actually should be worked with standing up. All sports are performed standing up, not sitting down. And so we're going to show you how to use the band. First, we're going to have Danny do some ab work in a bent over or the trunk curling fashion, and then some arched fashion as if you were squatting or pulling. And then we'll show you how to work obliques, especially for sprinters, as running corners. A lot of sprinters have problems running corners because they have very weak core strength in the obliques. So, all right, Danny, go ahead and demonstrate, first of all, the trunk curling fashion. As he does this, realize that he is taking in a lot of air into the lower stomach before he does a repetition. You must flex out on the stomach as you take that last gulp of air before lifting a barbell off the floor. Now he'll perform some arch with an arched torso as if you were squatting or pulling. Notice again, he's taking lots of air in the stomach. Remember, folks, you do not want to totally isolate the abdominals. They must work with the hips. That's how athletics is performed. All right, now Danny's going to do some oblique work. First, he's going to do wood chopping style. You notice you can work the obliques with the feet straight in line. Now he's going to turn slightly sideways. Now his feet is in a posture as a runner would have them. Notice the hips are still in line. Now turn sideways, Danny, and do a static hold for the obliques. Totally sideways. Walk out. Now Danny's just going to hold this posture because that's what's going to happen when you squat or deadlift. You must hold a posture. Now he'll turn around and work the opposite side, of course. All right, that covers most of the abdominal training. So let's go into some hamstring work with the bands. Now we're going to show us a hamstring work with a band. This is very, very effective. We'll normally do this to pre-exhaust the hamstrings before we do glute ham raise. The first Danny's going to do some conventional, just pulling underneath the body. Then he'll lean to the left and the right, working actually the sides of the hamstrings, which is very, very hard to work. You never really want to do leg curls. Leg curls is a bodybuilding apparatus that basically works the belly the center belly of the hamstring. You must do exercises that work both insertions simultaneously. This actually does that. As he pulls this up underneath, not only is the insertion at the knee working, so that into the glute, it will actually raise your buttocks upward as you contract the muscles. All right, now Danny's going to demonstrate. Knee left to right. Okay. Now, as you can see, we're working the hamstring from many different positions here. Bands are very, very effective. They work just like the muscle and the connective tissue. They accommodate resistance almost completely the same as the body would. Now we're going to do some hip work. Danny's going to hook two bands up and pull the knees apart and upward toward the torso. This really works the hip extension muscles and hip flexors. Right. All right, there you have it. Now let's move into some tricep exercises that are very effective. Now we're going to show some tricep work with the bands. First of all, Danny's going to show you three different methods. First is just a normal push down. These are done very strict. Now he's going to use two bands, turning the elbows inward and the fist outward, working the triceps on the inside of the elbow. This is the ones that extend the arm. The lateral heads are fairly worthless, only for bodybuilding, and we're not bodybuilders. We're either weightlifters or sports athletes. Here's a third variation. You can make any variations that you would like. I recommend 3 times per week outside your normal workouts as extra workouts, using a lot of this band exercises. Danny went from a 410 bench in November to a 460 bench press officially in February by doing 100 reps 3 times a week. He will normally get between 20 and 30 on the first set until he finally gets to 100 reps. The rest periods in between the sets are very, very short, just 5 to 10 seconds. And eventually, what this does is it raises your work capacity, causing one to be less stressed with the very heavy tricep work that we do. Consequently, that's how you raise up your work capacity, and also will raise up your volume and your absolute lifts. Next, we're going to show dumbbell extensions with a band to accommodate resistance. All right, now we're going to demonstrate some tricep extensions with dumbbells. You notice he's using a hammer style here. By actually turning your elbows out to the very side in this position, you're taking the lats almost out of it. So the only thing that's working is the inner heads of the tricep. Now you notice right now he's using a band. It depends on your strength level. For instance, your female athletes may be able to only use a band, but your stronger athletes would need dumbbells. So we're going to hand Danny just a light set to demonstrate. What we're doing doing here, folks, is accommodating resistance. This dumbbell is very light, 25-pound dumbbell, but the top is approximately 75 pounds because of the band tension at the top. All right, folks, basically what we're trying to show here, you can attach these bands to any apparatus, from push-down machines to tricep extensions to belt squatting. Anything you do, you should connect a band to, because a band accommodates resistance better than anything I've ever seen. It creates a lot of kinetic energy on the way down. It will actually make you go down faster than gravity. Once the faster you go down, the kinetic energy is transferred into your muscle and causes reversal strength. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move into an actual workout for speed strength. You're going to see a few of us squat, and we're going to use one band, probably 405 pounds. This would be equivalent to a speed workout for someone that squats 900 pounds. So, all right, let's go ahead and move into that speed workout, and we'll see what it looks like.
Go stand in the corner, stick it out. Yep. Relax, man. Hands back. I don't have it close. Mixing it up. Come on, Luke. Come on, now. Let me fuck it up.
Go, Josh.
Come on. I do hate this song. How do you put it in? Come on. Deadlift. Come on. Hey. Got it. Come on, man. Leave it sitting there when you're done, so I can talk later.
Okay.
Third pepper. My turn, Bob. Come on. Hey.
All right, what we've just witnessed is a couple workouts for speed strength. In the squat, you'll notice we use a little bit of bands, approximately 260 pounds at the top. A little bit of band and a lot of weight. This is for reaction time. We want to get off the box fast and accelerate. This is speed strength, very essential in sports. Also in the bench press, you notice they use chains. We alternate in the benching from chains to bands. We've already illustrated how to place the bands on the bar and the chains, but now you actually saw a chain workout. This is accommodating resistance. The difference is, in the squat workout, the bands constitute extra kinetic energy. The barbell is going down faster than actually gravity. That's why you build up more kinetic energy on the eccentric phase, causing the stretch reflex to be much stronger. Again, that was a speed workout. In the bench press, the chain works as actual weight. There's no extra speed on the way down, but it accommodates resistance on the way up as we're locking out an extra 40 pounds at the top. You will notice a couple of fellows did ballistic benching. I was one of them, catching the bar before it hits the chest and blasting it back up. Ballistic, not plyometric naturally, but ballistic benching will make it very, very explosive, tremendous for sports. And so let's phase into now the next segment we're going to have is Dick Hartzell is going to come in and do a phase for us on stretching. It's very essential for sports. Here, we seldom ever stretch until after our workouts, but of course if you're collegiate coaches or college or professional, you need to have the stretching segment. So let's get in and let's see what Dick's got to do. All right, folks, this is Dick Hartzell. He's down here at Westside Barbell, and he's going to demonstrate some stretching with the Jumpstretch bands. He is actually the inventor of the Jumpstretch bands and the platform. I want him to come in because I'm no expert on stretching, and Dick is. So let's get Dick going and find out how to stretch.
Thank you. And I am not a doctor or a physical therapist. I teach doctors and physical therapists in reference to rehab. I see everything from a sprained ankle to a heart transplant. So some of the things on this tape will be in the rehab area, and it'll give you a whole bunch of ideas in reference to getting rid of pain. I do work with Dr. Bill Kramer out of Ball State University, one of the top research guys in the world. I work with Dr. Mike Gadios, family and sports medicine physician out of Chambersburg, Dr. Mike Schimmel, a chiropractor out of Stowe, and Larry Kasinga, the head of physical therapy at St. Elizabeth Hospital. So I have a lot of medical people that I consult with when I do things. In reference to protecting your ankles on the front side, and I'm only going to do one ankle. I'll show you how to get in and out of it. Both ankles need to be done. In reference to getting into the bands, we sit down on the floor. The band comes over the top, around the waist. The easiest way to operate with this band is to get your knee out of the way, put the band around the arch of the foot, twist it over the toe. Just take it and twist it right over the toe. Put the foot out, turn the ankle in and out, and loosen up a little bit. Try to keep the toes straight up and down. The key to protecting your ankles is eversion, inversion. We turn in, that's 75 pounds of pressure. When we squeeze out, we isolate the perineal muscles on the side of the leg. So we're going to squeeze the ankle in as far as it'll go, we're going to squeeze out. The strength is built on the outer movement. The balance is taught on the in movement. So it's squeeze, squeeze. We would go 1, 2, as far as it'll go, in and out through 10, 15, or 20. Pull to the outside. Squeeze the ankle out as far as it'll go. Drive it in as far as it'll go. 1, 2, through 10, 15, or 20. Take your outside hand, push in past the knee, bring the foot back, squeeze the band here, stretch it, that opens the circle. Use your thumb and index finger to move that band up around the ball of the foot. When you position the band on the ball of the foot now, you're going to push down, which hits the gastrocnemius. You're going to pull up, which isolates the tibialis anterior. So as you, and if the band slips off, and that's a good, I'm glad it did, just readjust, put it back on, push down, pull back, push down. Gastrocnemius, tibialis anterior. Take the band and pull above the knee. As you bend the knee and stretch back, placing the heel on the floor, you isolate the soleus muscle and the Achilles tendon. The further back the band comes, the more stress and the more pressure on the Achilles tendon. So you want to pull the foot up, push down. Your right hand holds the band in place. Your left hand just sits there on your knee, which keeps this nice and smooth from here. Put the leg out straight. To transfer to the other foot, you simply push in, bring the foot back, stretch the band, open the circle, bring the other foot back, position it down around the arch of the foot, and carry on with your exercises. In order to get out of this and go right into your stretching program, the hands come together, they go down through the band up to the elbows, the right hand goes in, the knee goes out, the foot comes back, duck the head, lean forward, push up, and the band slides off. What we're going to do right now is we're going to take a little break. I'm going to come back and we're going to traction an ankle. In reference to taking care of ankle injuries, and our humble assessment again, now we're going against some of the traditional things of ice, elevation, and rest. We would go immediately to traction in order to distract this joint, get the pressure off of it, keep the blood flow in the joint, which causes healing, and will also help to hold the swelling down on the joint. Truthfully, with ice, you're not going to reduce the swelling anyway, because by the time the guy sprained his ankle, you already have the swelling before you get to the ice. So where we're going to go with these ankles, and I don't care if it's a new sprain, an old sprain, or a sprain within 24 hours, traction the joint, and you will reduce the downtime, and you will get the athlete on their feet much faster. So what I'm going to demonstrate is the technique on how to hook this up. This is a continuous band. It's called a mini band. Now we'll get a little closer shot here where you can see the band come in. It goes in under the foot, comes out the side, back through the loop on this side. Now, that band is now locked in around the ankle. I'm going to take one side of the band, pull it down underneath. So now part of this band is behind the heel, part of it is under the arch of the foot. The band should not be on the Achilles tendon. Two areas that you can run into trouble. Number one, if someone has a screw in their foot, which I ran into this when I went to traction a football player at Toledo University. He had a screw in the top of his foot. That hurts around the arch of the foot. Just move it down so that it's not on the screw, and that relieves the pressure. That basically is the only thing that you bump into in reference to problems in tractioning a joint. The next thing that we'll do here is take the other band, loop it around the foot, back out the other side, go to the back side, and just juggle it around till it's snug on the foot. Reach up on the back side, pull this down under, and you're ready for traction. Now, if this individual is in severe pain, all you do is sit down on the floor, and you're better off on the floor than you are on a training table, because on a training table, sometimes you have a tendency to pull them off the table. In reference to grasping the band, put the hand up through the band and grab a hold of it. If you grab it this way here, what happens is your hands get tired ahead of tractioning the joint. We take the other hand up through the band, grasp it, and pull out. Now we ask the athlete to pull the foot up and down. So we're going to do dorsiplantar flexion. The toe goes down, the toe goes up. When they go up, they're going to bump into pain. The key is to get them out of pain. So push back down. They'll bump into pain there. Go back up. So you're going in and out of trying to get rid of pain. Turn the ankle in and out. Now we're going to twist it in and out. We go eversion, inversion, and we're tractioning this joint apart. The next area that we'll go into immediately, if you'll grasp that band over there, we're going to wrap this around now, around the foot, which allows us to get into weight bearing. And the time periods are 3 to 5 minutes. It depends on what the athlete's able to handle. What I will do here is pull on the band, distract the joint. The athlete pulls on the band that way, pushes down, pulls up, push down, pull up, turn the ankle in and out. This gives you a real quick idea on some things that will really help in reference to the ankle. We're going to take a break here and then go right into the stretching program. In reference to changing hamstring flexibility, one of the keys is to get plenty of pressure in behind the knee. So we're going to take the band, wrap it around the arch of the foot. We'll have the athlete lay back on the floor, both legs are straight, the toes up. We'll grasp the band, one hand on each side. We're going to pull the leg up and let off, pull up a little higher and let off. The key in changing hamstring flexibility is to go in behind the knee. The leg may start down here, it doesn't matter. Go to wherever the individual is. Bring the band up here now to start changing hamstring flexibility. Bend and squeeze. Lock the knee out, keep the toe up, and drive it up and squeeze. You'll get discomfort or pain in behind the knee. If it's too much, lower the leg. After a period of time, those muscles will adjust to this pressure. Bend and squeeze, bend and squeeze, bend and squeeze. They get trained so that they don't feel the pain, and that's why I can take my leg up here and apply the pressure, push and squeeze. This also helps to stabilize the knee on the back side. In reference to the inside, we bend the opposite knee, kick the leg outside, grasp the band with the right hand over the head, drive out, push and squeeze, stabilizes the knee on the inside. For more pressure, simply bend the knee, take the band, stretch it all the way out, and push out. Bend and squeeze, bend and squeeze. Drive the leg straight up, heavy pressure on the hamstring. To hit the iliotibial band, you take the band, same hand, same foot, slide the band over the head, stretch it out, and drive cross body. Bend and squeeze, try to keep both shoulders on the floor. Drive the leg up and squeeze. If it's too much pressure, let off on it and go cross body. Drive the leg up. To stretch the quadriceps, take the band in the right hand, roll onto the knee, make sure it comes off of the heel, hold the band over the shoulder. Extend the hands forward, bring the knee off of the floor and keep the leg straight, don't reach to the outside. Bring the knee up once or twice, kick the leg down, bring the leg up, you go right into the hip flexors. Roll on the side, bend the knee, drive up, reach back, move the leg any place you want to move it and stretch. To get real good work on the quads, extend the leg down, kick it right down behind your butt, bring the leg up and reach back. This will do a nice job in reference to the quadriceps. Set up, and we're going to take a little break. We'll come right back and go into low back. In reference to back pain, 90 to 95% of all back pain is skeletal muscular. In other words, you got a spasm in your low back, and the key to getting rid of it is movement. Rest is for the deceased, so we're not going to get into sitting down and resting or taking pain pills or anything along that line. We'll make the initial move to correct the problem ourselves. If that doesn't work, then we will seek professional medical help. But the key with the low back is activity. We'll take the band in around behind the back, slide the right hand through the band, pull it up on the knee. If you have on shorts, it pulls the hair a little bit. I won't feel it, so carry on. Slide the hands back, arch the back, round the back, arch, move the legs to one side, move to the other side. Any type of movement that you can do, and you can do this sitting on the chair and or on the floor. On the floor, we'll go onto the back, bring the knees up and stretch, put the feet on the floor and push. This is an awesome traction down through the low back. Move your hips around when you're down here. Squirm around a little bit, move a little bit, bring the knees up and stretch, push and stretch, move the hips around, grab the band on the side, drive the right hip off the floor, put it down, left hip off the floor, tilt your hips, drive up, drive your hips off the floor. The stronger your butt, the better your low back. Bring the knees up and stretch, roll to the side, take the underhand, pull up, push down, pull across, go back across, same thing on the other side. Push down and pull across. We use this as a warm-up program and as a way to attack back pain. We'll take a little break and come right back. Another method for attacking back pain, which works outstanding, again, everything that I talk about is going to be traction, traction, traction. You take the band here, hook it on the crossbar extension, slide it onto the other side, bring the feet back onto the board, the hands are on the far side of the board, push the board away, the feet have to stay on the board. As you push with your arms, this tractions your low back and relieves the pressure, takes pressure off. Tilt one side, tilt the other side, drive both hips up, put them down. You can work down in through here any place you want to. You want to, after you've done this 10, 15, or 20 times, grasp the band in the center, turn over onto the stomach, put the hands in the center of the board. As you push up, drive the knee onto the board, bring the hands forward. You're going to arch the back and around the back. Anyone with back pain will come into this activity and find tremendous relief. You want to move in every direction that you possibly can in through here. Arch the back, arch, you got arch and round, arch and round. Don't bend your elbows, stay up in here. All you're trying to do is move your hips back and forth, get in and out of the pain. We'll take a little break and we'll come right back. In reference to some other activities that you can do to attack back pain, this is what we call a vertical back traction station. It's 2 pair of strong bands interlocked and hooked up at, this is at approximately a 7-foot level. 8-foot level would work just a little bit better. In getting into the band, you take one side of the band over the top, put it under the butt, spread the feet, take the other side, put it over top, it goes around the back. Back up, which now allows you to sit down, put your hands forward, and start to move your hips. Regardless of the amount of back pain that you're in, this lift will allow you to move. This stretch will allow you to move. Go up and down, move your hips any place they'll move. Arch your back, round your back, move. Step a foot back, lean and stretch. Step the other foot back, stretch. All you're trying to do is get rid of the back pain. This is a good warm-up and or a way to get rid of pain. We step forward, slide the band down around the belt, back onto the floor. This will pick you up off of the floor, drive your hips up, go from side to side, reach up, drive down, and move across. From here, we take a foot across the band, bring the other one up, push. This will stretch your low back. Go from one side to the other side, push, stretch, move, and move. We'll slide out of this band here, and we'll come right back with a couple other activities. In reference to stretching and strengthening your low back, it needs to be trained in and out of what's classified a proper range of motion. When we're lifting heavy weight, it's important that we use proper technique. When we're strength training the back, it truthfully needs to be worked out of a proper range of motion, which means we're going to take this band, put it over the head and over the one arm, over and under. Drop back onto the floor, holding on to the band. From here, we extend back, sit up, extend back, and sit up. Now we want to twist to the side, which is classified out of a proper range of motion. Drive down, reach up, drive down, reach up, drive back, and reach up. Now, as far as the lifter goes, you can do this whether you have back pain or not. This is a good stretch and a good strengthening activity. In reference to the shoulder, we can do a lot with distraction or trying to separate this joint to get pressure off of it. Blood flow is a problem to the shoulder. Therefore, tractioning that joint is going to make it stay a little more flexible and function longer for you. If we take the hand, stick it up through the band. A key in grasping this band is, one, make sure that this is not loose. This would be incorrect. The correct way is to make sure that this band is stuck on the hand. Grab it, step out, lean. Spread the feet wide first. Set your butt down, turn your hand over, lean away, and stretch. Just keep leaning and stretching. This tractions the joint and takes pressure off of it. This you ought to work on right after you come off of a lift. That's my humble assessment. Turn, face the pipe, move the shoulder, turn across. This will stretch your upper back. So if you come in through here and just lean, you have your upper back. With your hand on your knee and bend down, you're right into the low back. Switch hands and do the same thing. We'll take a little break and come right back with rotator cuff. In reference to the rotator cuff, when you sustain a rotator cuff injury, the key activities in bringing this thing back: number one, go to an upright row, and when you get to the top of the lift, pull the band out. You have a nerve going through the AC joint that releases that pressure on that joint. So bring it up and out. This has nothing to do with the rotator cuff. What it does is it builds confidence in the muscles around instead of just trying to take the rotator cuff. A lot of rehab people tell you do internal rotation or go up in here and rotate. That's a waste of time. Go here, upright row and pull out. Reverse curl, build the muscles in around this joint. Now when we go to the bench press, and this is a little more direct attack, flip the band over, make sure the thumbs are on the front side. If it's your right shoulder, work the band around, move it to the side, push easy, and push. We're trying to develop confidence in the muscles around the rotator cuff. In reference to the shoulder, and I would come back, I have a light band here. This is a mini band. Take the band in your left hand, flip it over your hand, push the hand through, bend the elbow, drop it down, pull it out. That locks in on the elbow. Now for your rotations, go here. Bring it over the top, behind the back, bring the arm in. This compresses that rotator cuff instead of pulling it apart. Work back in through here, reach back. This is a big deal, back in through here. Take it up over the top, pull down, let your elbow go in any direction you want it to go. Take the band off, drive the arm up, pull out, pull down, and then go right back to your traction. The more tractioning you can do with that rotator cuff problem, the faster it's going to go away. In reference to tractioning an elbow, take the band here, loop it over itself, slide the hand through, and allow this band to lock in around the wrist. The key here now is to step back and don't grasp the band. If you grab it here, you have more help from the shoulder. If you leave your hand open, bring back, reach out. There's the key. Stretch, stretch, and stretch. Now, take a look at the loop here. In reference to the loop, you may step back in here, pull out and say, I don't feel anything, and I'm going to say you're right. Take the loop here now, move it over a little bit. Pull here, and you may say, I don't feel it there. Okay, fine. Move the loop again. Here's the key, is the loop. Make sure this is below your wrist. Pull back up, and you'll hit it right there. You go, wow, that's right on it. So keep going in and out of the area where you have the problem, and this will work with you on the elbow. In reference to the wrist, all we're going to do is move it in and around here. You're tractioning the joint. You're trying to distract that joint. Pull, move, move, and move. And that'll take care of the wrist and the elbow for you. In reference to the hip joint, sometimes we'll come down, they talk about arthritis or different problems in the hip. If you want to get rid of pain in your hip, take the band here, and this goes for the hip replacement, the knee replacement. I'm going to cover all of this stuff. I see it all, and one of the easiest ways to get rid of pain is to take this band, flip it over, put the foot up through the band, take it on the back side, pull part of it down around the foot, just like we did the other time on the ankle traction. Move that up, turn onto the side here and slide away. So as you slide away, this is pulling your hip, it's distracting the hip. Turn onto the back, bend the knee, reach out. Now this will also work in the knee. So if you want to traction your knee, bend it, pull, turn, keep squirming around, get in different positions until you find something that works. Slide away for more pressure, get bigger bands for more pressure, but keep moving this. If you want to nail your hamstrings, pull down. If you want to nail the quads, turn over and drive up. This will hit quad hip flexor. In reference to getting a range of motion in the knee, and you'll see a lot of rehab people grab a person's leg here, bend it, and pull it up. At best, that's insane. If you would take the knee here, take a band like this, flip it over, bring the foot through the band, and then lock it in on the knee and step this leg forward. This is the absolute easiest way to get a range of motion in someone's leg that has either had surgery, injured, or knee replacement. Allow the band to stretch back. If you want to balance on a bench, go ahead and put it out there. Put this foot forward. There's no weight on this leg. All I'm doing is bending forward, reaching back, and allow that to stretch. You're actually trying to hyperextend the leg, which will then, that's the easiest way to get a range of motion back in the knee after either surgery or injury. You go with your traction, you go with this hyperextension here, and this will give you that range of motion. In reference to your neck, we have a simple harness, one mini band, move your neck around, tilt it back, turn it, move it. This distracts the vertebrae, allows you to get some relief in there from the pressure. If you want more pressure, simply stand up, raise the band up. You can hold on to it here, which pulls down. If you're working at home and you have a doorknob available, just hook it on the doorknob and hang around. Turn, move, turn, tilt, move. This will help you out to relieve pressure in the neck area. Now, if you want to do this from a horizontal position, you simply take the band off of here, loop it around again. This will go under a door. You close the door and simply lay down on the floor, slide away, and this ends up tractioning your neck in a horizontal position. These different activities that we have demonstrated here will help you out in relieving pain, in improving your flexibility.
Thanks a lot, Dick. Dick Hartzell of Jumpstretch has been doing a lot of flexibility work with many colleges, like he stated, and I think flexibility is very important. We're not experts on flexibility, so I brought Dick in to demonstrate that. Now, remember when we were box squatting and we were using a single band? That was development of strength speed. You know, it's a moderate amount of weight and a moderate amount of band. And the object there is to be quicker. To become super strong, you have to become, as you become quicker, you also have to become stronger. Many athletes become much quicker, but to a point they're never getting stronger, and that will stop their progress as far as running speed. Next, we're going to talk about how to build strength speed. Now, you notice we only used one band, a blue band, which constitutes a little over 200 pounds at the top. For strength speed work, we'll use 2 sets of these blue bands, and a green, or sometimes some of the fellows even a couple green. And what happens is now we slowed the barbell down. We're pushing as fast as possible, but the velocity is slower because of the nature of the resistance. Being much greater resistance, naturally it's going to move slower. But many people cannot move heavy weights fast. At Westside, we teach people to do just that. We can squat 800 pounds as fast as most people squat 135. We've had a gentleman in here as an experiment. He did 405 pounds with 2 blue bands and a green, and his best squat was 650 pounds. Where previously, at the time, at one point, I had done the same amount of band and the same amount of weight, 405, and squatted 900. Obviously, I'm much faster than him. He was not able to complete the actual lift in the same time I would. That's why he could only squat 650 pounds. where I can maintain that type of strength speed and be able to stand up with 900 pounds, actually later on even 920. All right, now, explosive strength. That's where you're moving a barbell very quickly. You notice the boys use box squats. Lots of people talk about box squats, they don't know anything about them. All of our squatters, we have 9 over 900 and 2 1,000 pound squatters. We all box squat here. There's nothing dangerous about it. Why do we box squat? Because for explosive strength and absolute strength, there are 2 common ways to develop. One, static, overcome by dynamic, and one, relaxed, overcome by dynamic. When you step on the box, some of the muscles are held static, and then you overcome it by dynamic work, and some of the muscles are held relaxed, like the hip muscles. You actually release the hips while your stomach muscles and everything stay tight. That's why there's no risk of injury, and then you flex again. So you see, we are using static overcome by dynamic and relaxed overcome dynamic. Now, on all these phases for strength, we use a wave. We will go up for 3 weeks at a time. We've discovered years ago, if you're using any real weights, or if you're trying to work for even speed, in 3 weeks you cannot get any faster, nor can you get any stronger. So we'll wave the weights up for 3 weeks. I'll just give you a couple examples. My 900 pound plus squatters, they'll use a weight per week. The first week will be 435, the second week 465, the third week 485. Then they weigh back to 435 for a fourth week, and then use a deloading process for 2 weeks prior to a meet. But all other phases are for 3 weeks. If you're working for speed, you'll only get so quick. Your reaction time will actually stop in 3 weeks, so you must go to another type of training. And that's why we use 3-week waves. We'll wave it up for 3, drop it back, wave it up for 3, drop it back. As far as you college and professional athletes, if you're going to use a system like this in season, you can actually just use one weight and use speed strength. There's no sense trying to get super strong where you're trying to play ball, because the amount of ball you're playing is going to detract the amount of work you can do in the barbell room. So constantly just use one weight, but each week try to become quicker. Like Chuck Vogelpohl squats 900 to 220. He'll actually train with a weight 405 pounds into the band. Actually, that weight will keep him around 810 pounds, about 90%. When you get less than 90% of your strength, you're actually working out. It's too hard of a road to get back up to the training ability. So you always want to keep your strength at 90%. Like if you're a 400 pound bench pressure, you should be able to bench 360 all the time. That's in season. Plenty of schools are doing it around the country. Now we're going to go ahead and move on into eccentric work. We'll show you how it is to be done. Many authorities have used eccentric work in this country and other countries. The results have basically been negative. You know, we know bodybuilders use eccentric work to build larger muscles. On the eccentric phase also causes muscular soreness. But why hasn't it made anyone stronger? It's been stated that you use 40% more muscle fiber in the lowering or the yielding phase than the concentric. But why does it make you stronger? Because he did it all wrong, in my opinion. When you do eccentric work, the whole key is to pick one weight in the bottom. We did an experiment with our 900 pound squatters, and we're the only gym in the country, we have 7 of them, that we can test these high qualified athletes. We don't test college students who squat 150 pounds. The result would be negligible. So we don't use the top guys. But what we did was, we had a weight in the bottom, and we did it by using a lot of band, 2 blues, 2 greens, and also a mounted amount of barbell weight. We also, as you can see, use weight releasers. But unlike putting weights on, where it would be an accelerated phase in the bottom, we use chains. So it would deload proportion to the strength, just as bands do. So we use 755 pounds as a base bottom weight. The first rep they did at the top 755, the bottom 755. Then we added 80 pounds of chain at a time. And every time we lowered more weight and deloaded in the hole, the 755 would come up faster. The last weight they did 4 sets of single rep, naturally, with the weight releasers. And the last set was 1,160 pounds, and the 755 came up quicker in all the other sets. So as you can see, that's what athletes and sportsmen are about. You want to become quicker with eccentric work. Don't lower a heavy weight down and then come up slowly, and don't lower it down slowly. You must use kinetic energy. It has to be more similar to your actual sport, or for us lifting. The faster something lowers, the faster it will raise because of kinetic energy. As that kinetic energy in the lowering phase is faster than gravity, that kinetic energy is transferred into the muscle as reversal strain, causing a tremendous stretch reflex. And that's what we're after. Now we're going to demonstrate basically how this will unload. As you can see, as the bands will go down, deload proportionate to the body, also the weight releases with this. As you can see, that's how we do this. In the bottom, it proportionally deloads so that you don't have overspeed or risk of injury in the bottom like it's always been done. We didn't lower it slowly, and we jump up extremely fast. Like I said, the more weight we lowered, the faster we could come up with that original 755 pounds. Now, on this type of exercise wave, we actually only use 1 week. We will do this 1 week, and we will put it on our speed day, and about approximately every 8 to 10 weeks you can repeat this. I suggest that you do it in a phase like this: an eccentric week followed by 3 weeks of speed work, 3 weeks of strength speed, and then 3 weeks of circa max, which means near maximal weights, where on the bottom or the box you have the weight would be top about 85%, about where strength speed is developed, but at the top portion when you stand up, because of the bands, it is actually super maximal. It's over 100% of what you actually squat in a contest or what your athletes can squat. All right, now let's move on from there and just summarize. All right, now to finish this tape up, let's summarize. First of all, we had Amy Weisberger, who's a many-time world champion, strongest female pound-for-pound powerlifter ever, 34 over a male elite. She demonstrated the use of chains and bands, and in the Lightened method and in the normal methods, and also bands around the belt. Then we moved on to Danny, who's a 2-time elite almost as a teenager, and he was doing extra workouts. Here, myself personally, I do 10 to 15 workouts a week. I do 4 normal workouts, which last roughly an hour, slightly less sometimes, and then an additional 10 sometimes or 11 that take 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and I work on special activity. If you're in sports, you could do agility drills and flexibility drills, awareness drills, where here we use exercises basically for explosive strength or speed strength, or fortifying a weakness in the muscles. For instance, if you need stronger hamstrings or triceps or abdominal muscles, that's what you precisely work in those extra workouts. Then we moved in and you saw some speed work. The guys did a few sets of speed work. You'll notice when we do speed work here, with a enormous amount of band, we will hold the sets to 5. We will do 5 doubles in squatting. Why? Because Mr. Premlin of the Soviet Union years ago found out that 10 lifts at 90% and above was optimal. It's the most you could possibly do. So we never do more than that. Their lifters didn't have equipment like power lifters, and of course your athletes don't either. You never want to exceed 10 lifts when you're training at 90% and above. And a lot of those lifts are actually above 100% at the top. And then we moved into benching. We have fabulous benchers. A 198 that just benched 683 pounds, greatest bench of all time. A 728 to 275 for years was the greatest bench of all time. And a Rod Fuser who benches 705 pounds, toes 2358. You'll notice the very light weights they use. Actually, the weights is less than 50% of what they can bench without a bench shirt. So if you have a football player who benches 400 pounds, they actually need to train slightly less than 200 pounds with the addition of chains. That will accommodate resistance. That's what we're trying to do here. That's why this tape is called the contrast and reactive tape. Explosive strength and acceleration is the key to everything as far as weightlifting or sports. Then we move in and we discussed how to do the waves and the difference between speed strength, explosive strength, and strength speed. Then we demonstrated eccentric work, which I believe will greatly help your jumping ability, also your squatting ability if you're just into powerlifting like we are, or if you're into sports. Now I want to finish this tape up. I want to talk about the development of power. Many people seem to think that if an athlete's very strong, he's very slow. There's no need for athletes to get stronger. That's a bad misconception. If you take 2 ball players and one of them squats 400 pounds, and he was trained at an optimal way to develop power, which is a roughly 60%, that would be 240 pounds. He would do his squat sets with 240 or whatever exercise he's doing. If you had an athlete who squat 700 pounds and he was to use 60%, that would equate to 420 pounds. That fellow can lift 420 pounds absolutely as fast as the weaker person can lift 240 pounds. If those two collide on the football field, I personally believe that the one who trains at 420 at the same rate of speed will knock the other one down. And that's where people make a big mistake. As you get stronger, you also have to become faster. That's why here we work on all aspects of strength. You just can't be stronger and get slower. Many athletes do that. They get stronger and stronger and never make any progress. Or some get quicker and quicker to a point, but they don't run any faster. You have to be able to accelerate all the way through a race, a 60-meter race or a 100-meter race. If you a 60-meter champ will never beat the 100-meter champ because of 60 meters, he will decelerate. You notice that's what bands do. They almost completely eliminate the deceleration phase, and plus they add kinetic energy on the eccentric phase. That's why they're so important. So that's the type of stuff you need to look at. Folks, we showed you a lot of things. At the end of this tape, you'll see phone numbers where you can reach all the equipment that you want to. So thanks a lot and good luck.